Hey guys, welcome back to Roll Radio. Here with a very special guest, entrepreneur, founder, and CEO, Ed Vincent of FestivalPass, a live event subscription service. Hey Ed, how's it going?
Good, Bradley. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Yeah, super excited to have you here. For the people that don't know, walk us a little bit through your personal story, how you got into the festival circus, and just kind of the origins of FestivalPass.
Sure, happy to. So obviously, there's always some context to every story. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, and in the process, have gone through different experiences in different companies. And I had an e-commerce company back in '99 in the Internet 1.0 days that I sold in 2001. Thought I was an internet millionaire at the time, but I took equity in the company that bought us. That eventually, after the .com blow up, didn't turn out to be the millions I thought, but that's part of the learning experience. But through the 2000s, I had an agency, about a 60, 70 person experiential agency that produced and handled a lot of brand and experiences at big live events, so big concerts, big programs, film festivals. We helped launch a bunch of film festivals like the Vail Film Festival. We worked with Sonoma Valley Film Festival, and we even owned one ourselves down in the Dominican Republic. So fully understood what it means to produce a big live event, and also fell in love with the community experience that happens when people engage in a live event process. Fast forward throughout the years, had another technology SaaS startup, mostly in the multi-unit and franchise space, sold that in 2014. And then for the past 5 years or so, I've had a data consultancy and a software platform called Predict Analytics that still exists today for the entertainment space. So a lot of big television networks like A&E networks, AMC networks, and a lot in the film space. Movietickets.com, Screen Vision is the company that sells ads when you go sit into a movie theater, and our platform today still is the platform that helps them forecast like who's going to be sitting in the audience, of course when everybody's back in the movies. And in that process, I was asked to come in to be the interim chief data officer of a company called MoviePass. And this is getting quickly to the evolution of FestivalPass. So spending about 18 months over at MoviePass, which a lot of people kind of know the meteoric rise and fall of that brand. It was a big disruptor in the film space. They made a lot of smart decisions, but also made some strategic errors along the way. And I was lucky enough to kind of be sitting at the table to see that. One of the core elements of that process was the way they manage subscription and the way they manage currency related to the inventory. So that kind of fast forwards to, I think, the conversation we were having is I love live events, started looking at the industry and realized that live events is a $200 billion industry globally, massive industry, 10x that of the North American exhibitor film space. And also what I found very interesting is it's a very decentralized environment. So while everybody in the US hears of Live Nation or AEG that owns Coachella as being these big behemoths, they're really only in the music space. And in addition to that, they're really only on the kind of top 10, 20, 30% of the acts that happen. There's still a massive amount of events, thousands, tens of thousands of events that happen globally that they have no participation in. So that decentralized environment, i.e., it's a good analogous to the decentralized world of blockchain, but the decentralized environment is ripe for marketplace participants to be able to bring buyers and sellers together in an environment that enables those transactions to happen in a decentralized environment. It's very helpful to bring somebody to a centralized marketplace to be able to make that happen. So here we are with FestivalPass, and we thought we could enable a different type of model around live events, a subscription marketplace.
Amazing. Yeah, the vision totally makes sense and sort of seems inevitable as well. As someone so close to sort of the festival and sort of events and venue space, can you tell us a little bit about how they're feeling right now and just sort of how they're adapting to this current moment? I remember earlier this year talking to a few friends and seeing what's going on with COVID, and they're essentially saying, oh, hey, they won't close Coachella, they won't close South by Southwest, and slowly, everyone realizes this is a pandemic. How are festival owners and sort of events and venues dealing with this?
Sure. So a lot of what I hear in the industry is an arc, right? So there's it's like a bell curve of the type of events people are handling. So on one side, you have the large festivals, the 50, 100,000 person festivals that you just spoke of. Many originally postponed and therefore then canceled 2020 because it does take, as you know, tens of millions of dollars to put on such a big event. So when there's uncertainty on the ability to have it, it only makes financial sense to put it off. So a lot of the big guys like Coachella, et cetera, really just shifted to 2021. So I think for the big, huge festivals, 2021 is what we're looking at. There are other ones, though, that are trying to make a go of it. Even just had a conversation yesterday with a group that is producing the Whiskey Myers Firewater Festival out in Kansas, that they're a go for early October. And that's really kind of like Southern rock and that genre, but they're planning on it and they're making a go of it. Then you have a lot of the other participants, right? So one of the things that I believe make up the fabric of the live music space, and one thing to remember is FestivalPass isn't just music. I know we tend to talk about it because everybody knows it, but we're music, film, food and wine, especially there's tens of thousands of food and wine events usually throughout the year, sans COVID, but sporting events, theater, that's all part of FestivalPass. But on the music side, part of the fabric of what makes artists become who they are is the independent venues that enable them to get their start. So there's about 4,000 to 5,000 independent venues throughout the U.S. And recently, because they're the type that get hit really hard in this environment because they live week to week, month to month. So that ticketing revenue, as well as the people that are coming into their venues, buying alcohol and other things during those events, is their fabric, and they don't have millions of dollars in the bank account in order to survive. So they've banded together, and there's even a new group that we're working with called the National Independent Venue Association, and we're really trying to help them find the path to make sure they weather the storm, because without them on the other side becomes problematic for the whole ecosystem.
Absolutely. And can you talk a little bit about how some of the smaller venues are thinking about recovering?
Sure. So with respect to what we're sharing here, is there's a couple key aspects that make it hard, right? So one is shows that were booked, tickets that were bought and then canceled. Initially, if everybody knows it's only going to be a month or two postponement, usually you don't have to give refunds. But once you start having uncertainty of when the show can happen, you get back into the refund game. And it's like, okay, well now as a small venue, I have to put up cash to go back to those ticket holders, which become difficult while they're paying rent, while they're doing everything else. So I think what has been helpful is banding together as a group and sharing knowledge. Like I'm lucky enough, I was just referencing something to you before about the entrepreneur world. I'm lucky enough to be part of an organization when all this happened. We have so many groups about how to get your right PPP money, what are the rules, what is the best access, which banks are doing it faster. Like those resources are so important for survival for many of us. Whereas the independent venues, as they banded together under this organization, they're sharing a lot of knowledge. They're also looking at, by grouping together the power of 4,000 to 5,000 venues, you then begin to attract the attention of people like FestivalPass, because now we want to work with them because we access thousands at a time. And then big brands say, well, hey, that's interesting. If I can get, this is a bad example, I have no idea if they're really working with this brand, but if Coca-Cola can get into or leverage the future of 4,000 to 5,000 independent venues, then that makes sense. But to do one-off deals with each one of them is very difficult. So they're starting to think about expanding revenue streams like typically happen in bigger corporate environments just by banding together as a small group. So how do they get advertising revenue? How do they find a path to better negotiate different expenses? How do they have lobbying groups that deal with landlords as opposed to each one having to hire their own lawyer? which they probably couldn't afford. So again, it's about the power of the many.
Absolutely. Got it. And then, you dived a bit into sort of the economics and margins of sort of festivals, venues, and events. When FestivalPass jumps in, how does that change the economics for a venue, festival, or event owner?
Yeah. So the one thing to share about FestivalPass is we're trying to sit in the middle as a marketplace to make it better for both sides, right? So we want consumers to have a better experience. We want consumers to get better value, while at the same time, we want venues and rights holders and festival owners to have more data and insights and information about who actually attends their festivals and have more of a performance-driven marketing path. So effectively, a lot of the rights holders, when they work with us, they're giving us some kind of discount to their retail ticket price. However, they often look at that as a marketing expense. So, we all live in a world in digital media where there's guaranteed marketing expense, or how do I say, a fixed cost marketing expense, and then there's variable costs. So we try and make it easy on the venue owners because they're just sharing revenue on the tickets themselves. So therefore, they're only paying us as we're actually driving bodies into their location. So that's one side that they can look at it as a marketing expense. But we're also looking at giving them a lot of really interesting tools. So because I come from the data environment, I have an ability to understand what's important of driving consumer data and visualization of what that consumer data is. So we're building partner dashboards. So if you're a venue owner or a big rights holder, you can come to your partner dashboard on FestivalPass and you can see visualizations and graphs that say, hey, this is what the makeup of the FestivalPass audience looks like. This is what the people that have been to your festival or your venue page look like. And if you throw one of our tags on your own website, we'll tell you everything about the people that have been on your website. And with that information, you can make better decisions. And we'll even give you or let you use some of our FestivalPass data when you go out and buy paid media, so you're better targeting the exact people you want to target.
Makes complete sense. And Ed, what do you think is sort of the long-term vision of FestivalPass? Where do you see FestivalPass in 5, 7, 10 years?
Yeah, so obviously, as an entrepreneur, I see global domination. No, just kidding. I see us, like many marketplaces, we benefit from the concept of route density and global density. So, and again, I don't want to be too instructive during this conversation, so please stop me if I am. A lot of people can think of marketplaces like Uber or Lyft. Those are route density marketplaces that also benefit from global. What I mean by that is if you have X amount of drivers and X amount of riders in New York City only, as long as you have supply and demand just in New York, you can have an effective localized marketplace. Whereas that also grows over time. So if you end up flying to LA and you're an Uber customer, you now are gathering access to the global marketplace, even though the ecosystem itself can sustain in New York. Something like Airbnb, which is a company that I value a lot and aspire to be like, they really only have more of a global density marketplace, right? So not many people in New York City are going to be staycationing in Airbnbs throughout New York City often. You might do it once for fun, but that's not, the business model can't sustain on that. So, for them, it's every piece of new inventory globally that is interesting adds value to the marketplace. That new chateau in France, that the treehouse in the woods in Santa Barbara. But all of that is a correlation to what we want to be at FestivalPass. So we want to make sure consumers get a ton of value in their local community. So if you are a FestivalPass customer or subscriber, or member is a better word, you're a member within New York City, we want you to make sure that you're going to 5, 10 events throughout the month, whether they're tiny little events like a Guinness and Oyster Saturday afternoon in Williamsburg, or to a Broadway theater show, or to a sporting event at Madison Square Garden, or to a concert at City Winery. We want you to get value locally so that when you do travel, just like Uber, you can pop open your FestivalPass app and be like, oh, wow, I happen to be in Dallas, Texas, and really cool. Check this out. There's a great show in Dallas right here on FestivalPass. I'm going to click it, redeem some credits, and go and have fun.
Amazing. Yeah, you've definitely built that network of thousands and thousands of sort of festivals, venues, and events. And yeah, lots of similarities between Airbnb and just sort of the word of market viral growth and sort of the network effects they had in the early days. Talk me through the Festival Pass credit system quickly and how that works.
Sure. So I can't take full authorship on the concept, but I can give analogies to those who have come before. So obviously in the world of MoviePass and many other subscription marketplaces that had a traditional pay a certain amount and go for an unlimited amount of things, it's a very difficult scalable business model to do that unless your customers do less of what you ask them to do. So when I came about bringing FestivalPass to market, the last thing I wanted to do is create a business where if people did more of what I asked them to do, I lose money. So the credit-based system solves a lot of those issues, right? And there's a company called ClassPass that many folks have heard of. And about 4 years ago, they went from the old MoviePass-like model into a credit-based system. And in that transition, it enabled them to manage gross margin metrics on every transaction. And I was a student of that transition. And while it was rocky for 6 to 12 months during it, they ended up on the other side of the coin where they do have a model with it. They were able to scale it globally. So they were able to take that model and scale it to 30 other countries. So now I'll explain what it is after I'm admitting that I didn't come up with it. So what it is people pay a monthly fee, and for that monthly fee, they get a certain amount of credits. So if they choose to pay $9 a month, they get 6 credits. If they choose to pay $99 a month, they get 100 credits. So any second grade math teacher can to do the math is you pay 99 cents a credit. If you're committing to do more, you pay $1.50 a credit if you're committing to do less. And that enables those who commit to do more to effectively attend events for a better price. And again, as a member, we're providing a lot of other benefits over time, and that will continue to get better and better. So it's not only a price decision, but the more you commit to on a monthly basis, the more access you get to do things at a lower rate.
Incredible. Yeah, I see how it makes sense to effectively keep a monetary policy like that sort of centralized within sort of the FestivalPass database and ecosystem. I'd love to talk a little bit just on how you think blockchain can intersect with FestivalPass and sort of the venue events and sort of film spaces that you're seeing across the US and the world.
Absolutely. So you make a good point about the credit-based system and why we're not necessarily using blockchain for that mechanism. And just to touch on that real quick is that it is important for us to have a centralized system to be able to offer dynamic pricing to our consumers based upon many things that aren't only retail ticket price. So one of the things that gets really exciting about the data play is as we gather more and more data points on our consumers, as they continue to participate in the site, as we get third-party data coming in, we can make decisions based upon the potential or actual long lifetime value of that consumer. So if we know that Bradley happens to attend a lot of events, and Bradley hooked his Instagram account up to FestivalPass, and he has 50,000 followers, he's considered an influencer of some sort. And we know that if he goes to an event and he posts that on Instagram, he's going to be sharing that with a lot of people, which may benefit FestivalPass in the long run. So by putting value to those individuals and how they engage on the platform, we may offer Bradley the ability to attend certain events at a lower credit cost than somebody else who may not engage as much in FestivalPass and therefore is a less of a lifetime value customer to us. So that's kind of why that centralized marketplace is important, because we need to be able to trigger how we give additional value to our members. So now back to blockchain is I do think there is a tremendous opportunity to use initial coin offerings for specific brands in order to enable them to have a decentralized value proposition to their fans. So in our world, we want to be able to enable kind of a place that many hundreds or even thousands of different rights holders, brands, artists, however you want to use the name, to be able to have their own currency that then can have some redemption value within FestivalPass. Because the more redemption value exists in more places, there's more value to that overall decentralized coin. So I think it's super exciting for us to have our own festival coin within FestivalPass that we use more for a reward mechanism. So when people are signing up for additional memberships and they're committing to $99 a month, we may be issuing them festival coin that is on the blockchain as an incentive to utilize it within our ecosystem, but also to share it elsewhere. Okay.
Oh no, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to finish up is that also is analogous to all of our partners. So when we have a festival or a venue owner, pick a random one, even call it the Firewater Festival or Coachella, or even just simply, a venue in New York City that says, hey, we're going to issue our own La Poisson Rouge, which is LPR down on Bleecker Street. If they had their own coin, that enables a decentralized ability for people to trade that as different acts come in, as different experiences happen, they're able to create a redemption environment for that coin value directly in their location, but also potentially have that sit within the marketplace in FestivalPass of thousands of others just like them, where there is some ability to share back and forth that decentralized crypto coin.
That's incredible. Yeah. So you see FestivalPass really potentially as the infrastructure to onboard hundreds, if not thousands, of festivals and events into the blockchain space with their own tokens.
Yeah, and I think the reason why that's exciting is many may not understand it just yet, and many may not think about it as a value proposition. But if they're in their dashboard on FestivalPass and with the click of a button can effectively sign up to issue their own coin and have a partner like, who knows, is there any interesting partners of that sound like Roll that could help in that process? Just that very easy onboard ramp into the space, but then backed by a place where there's value that can be unlocked for that currency, i.e. FestivalPass, it's a why not? Why wouldn't you do it? And the concept of just executing upon it and then enabling fans to actually participate and see what it is, not only does it create a lot of interest in the space overall, it could truly effectively be an immediate reward mechanism for all these thousands of festivals and venues.
That's incredible. Yeah, I really see sort of a branded, community-based experience around a token being feasible, and I love the idea of FestivalPass, just introducing that to the masses. Yeah, so I just want to dive into that a little bit more. What do you think the ecosystem looks like when there's sort of a Tribeca Film Festival token, a South by Southwest token, a Coachella token? What does the world look like when these things exist?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to pretend that the FestivalPass infrastructure is the glue that's going to make it all work. But the way we all know, the decentralized environment, we could be the springboard for a lot of them. But once they get out to the ecosystem, they can take on a life of their own, and that's kind of the exciting part, right? So if somebody like Tribeca happened to, they're a big organization that may do something like this directly, who knows? But if we can convince them to do it through FestivalPass and we become the springboard, as that goes out through the world, they're global organizations that have people from all over the world coming to engage in their brand. And I think that they can take on a life of their own. And it would be it's interesting for me to see, and you might have some more experience in this space, to know what are the branded social currency tokens, if you will, that like what makes something take off. Is there a brand value attachment to it versus a size of audience attachment? So just like any kind of consumer product, right, is that, brand value has something to it. So when you can put something like the Tribeca Film Festival token or coin out there to the world, people will immediately be, that's interesting. I want to participate in that.
Yeah. The concept of making brand equity sort of fungible and rewardable becomes super interesting. Yeah, I'm sure we could talk about this all day. Ed, I'd love to really for you to share kind of what's next for FestivalPass. What do the next sort of 12 months look like for you?
Sure. So obviously in the world of COVID, I'm starting to see some shining light at the end of the tunnel where people at least see a path. And I think that's the most important part. Is I kind of look at it, the interesting thing is when we have these conversations, we're talking about economics in general, right? So the idea is consumer confidence is 90% of growth in any kind of economy. So I think we're slowly getting to the point of that turning point of consumer confidence, saying, yes, live events will come back. The big ones, maybe not till 2021, smaller ones starting to happen, movie theaters opening by the mid to end of the summer. People are starting to have confidence, right? So that gives us more of an ability to start executing upon some of our goals. We spent the last few months kind of digging deep into infrastructure to make sure that we can handle the scale as we go forth on the outset. So the answer is we're still going to continue on the infrastructure side. We've been testing marketing. We have an important marketing partner called Town Square Media, who has provided millions of dollars worth of media for us to engage with our audience. And we've been testing it to make sure we have the analytics. Again, I'm a data guy, to have all the analytics in place so that the moment we want to open the valve, we are actually spending the money appropriately. So there's that, and then we may be doing our own additional raise. We've raised some money along the path, and we have some great investors, including athletes and entrepreneurs and a bunch of others. We'll probably do another small fundraise, and then just get to work on onboarding all of our festivals. So just like any marketplace, you have two sides, right? And we're lucky enough to have the media-driven concept from our partner at Town Square. So we should be able to get to, thousands of consumers to sign up using that media. But on the other side of the marketplace, we need to just be diligent about getting more and more venues on board. And this is why partnerships like the one I mentioned with the National Independent Venue Association enables us to get thousands of venues in one deal as opposed to go one by one.
Absolutely huge. Yeah, super excited for the future of FestivalPass. As a festival and event enthusiast, one question here: what are your top 5 either festivals or sort of events you've been to in your life, or that you'd recommend for listeners?
Sure. So again, there's different variations of that, right? Because there's the big ones like Super Bowl and World Series. And I always say on the sporting side, the only big event I haven't been to is the Kentucky Derby, which I really want to get to one day. And then I just love small venues, like even the Rockwood Music Club in New York City is just a great place that I love going on a Friday night and hearing 5 or 6 different bands I've never heard of. And then you have everything in between. So I am a big fan, and I think over the last 3 to 4 years, actually kind of probably inspired by South by Southwest, there's been a lot more multi-discipline events, like the one Ozzy Fest that was supposed to be last summer. Unfortunately, it was too hot to actually have. But the idea where you have music, you have culture, you have learning, you have entrepreneurship, all kind of sitting over one specific weekend, that's the kind of stuff I love. So those are the ones I want to attend. Those are the ones I want to be at because I get my music fix, I get my great documentary film fix, and I get learning. And then I also love the food and wine scenario too. You can't take it away when you're sitting at South Beach eating some of the best food and having some of the best wine while chilling out, in early spring.
Absolutely, yeah. To me, those are definitely some of the best. Ed, where can people find out more about you and FestivalPass?
Sure. So on FestivalPass, super easy. FestivalPass.com is the best place to go sign up. You can sign up now as a free member, even if you don't choose to be a paid member yet, and then you can be within the ecosystem. So when you're ready to actually commit to going to some events, you can just move up to a paid plan. And then we're on all social. So Instagram, you'll find us. Just look up FestivalPass on Instagram, Facebook. And then for me personally, on the business side, I use LinkedIn a lot. So if there's any kind of core partnership or business concepts, just Ed Vincent, search on LinkedIn and you'll find me. Most of the other stuff personally is, you can find me on Facebook, but you're going to see pictures of my kids.
Amazing, Ed. Well, this was so great. Thanks so much for stopping by Rural Radio.